Hey, this is Sri here. Listen, today's video is going to be a little bit different to what I would normally talk about. For me, when I embarked on this journey in terms of helping women from all around the world, in terms of saving their marriages and really teaching them about male psychology, I was very much focused on being authentic and being real. And to me, part of that is also to share with you a little bit about my experiences. And today's video is very much about me being as authentic and as open and as vulnerable as I can with you all, because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why it is that I cheated on my ex-girlfriend. I'm very fortunate that I've learned from a lot of the lessons and learned from a lot of the challenges, but part of the reason why I wanted to share this story is because I see so many times that when people go off and cheat and engage in infidelity, and that's not just men doing it, it's also women doing it and so forth. There can be a huge amount of pain naturally, but what often happens is that people often get into that mindset of blame, and not just blame for others, but blame for themselves as well as to why it actually got to that point and how it got to that point. But I often feel that a lot of people don't really understand what's actually going on inside of a lot of men's brains when they go down that path and do those sorts of things. So I really wanted to share my story and explain to you a little bit about how I got to that place where I actually ended up cheating on my ex-partner. Now, when I'd got involved with this particular partner, one of the things that was really important to me at the time was just having a relationship that was easy. I think I had this kind of slightly false view of what a relationship was actually about. I hadn't had a lot of experiences. And so one of the things that was really, difficult for me was I wanted to make sure that if I was going to be involved in a relationship, that it wasn't going to impact other areas of my life. I still wanted to make sure I was still playing my sports. I didn't want to feel controlled. I didn't want to feel like I was hindered in any particular way in terms of my life. And I think I had a very skewed perception of what a relationship was about. I think I just expected that person to just be there and I could just carry on in my life. And I don't think I really had a full appreciation for what's actually involved when you actually get together with someone. And so in the early stages, it was really, it was wonderful. Things were great. It was very easy, and that was why my expectations had been met. And then what had happened was we ended up making some decisions to actually end up embarking on a journey towards property development and so forth. So anyway, after we ended up going through the process of buying a house, and there was a lot of dramas over those first sort of couple of years in that home, what ended up happening was I had to basically bear the load of doing a lot of the renovation work. And there were a lot of other circumstances that were involved in this that made it absolutely mandatory that I had to get this sorted. Now my challenge was that I was working at the time in a corporate job, so I was having to do all of that. As soon as I'd have to get home, I'd have to start plastering and sanding and painting and jibbing, and I basically learned how to renovate a home, and I had to learn on the job, and it was the most draining probably 18 months of my life. I'd never felt such exhaustion on so many levels, physically, mentally, emotionally. I was absolutely drained. And I got to this point where not only was I sucked dry in terms of that experience, but I also found myself in a position where I didn't feel like I had anyone that was actually supporting me. Now, I know that if you spoke to her, she would probably tell you that she was there for me. But for me, in terms of what I actually needed, she wasn't actually there. I needed someone who was actually going to say, look, let me help you, let me do a few things around the house for you. And even there might have been just the odd little glimmer, very rarely, most of the time it just wasn't there. And I wasn't feeling like my emotional needs were being met on any level, and I just felt completely depleted. Now I say all these things because not from a perspective of I'm blaming her in any way, because I know that I absolutely had my part to play in all of this. I know that without any shadow of a doubt. But I felt like at that moment that I had no options. I had no way to get out of this environment. It was in the middle of a recession. We didn't if we sold the house, we would have ended up losing a ton of money. I couldn't afford that. I just felt completely trapped in this environment. And I wasn't feeling very, very important. I wasn't feeling very special at all. And in fairness, I don't think I made an effort to make my partner feel special at all in that situation. I knew she wanted to be with me. I knew she probably found me as a source of stability in her life. And I know that she saw me as someone who was actually going to be there for her long term. But for me, what I was battling with was, not only was I just completely depleted emotionally and mentally and physically, but I was also struggling with the idea of, is this woman someone that I want to be with for the rest of my life? Does she align with the kind of values that I want in my life as well? And all of these things were just going through my mind, and it was consuming me like you wouldn't believe. Even in my day-to-day job, I was struggling to focus. I was somehow managing to just get the job done, but it wasn't something that, I was just, every day I was so exhausted and so drained. And I had some amazing friends who were around who I could talk to about these things, and it was in a really, I was in a hugely difficult spot. And then one time at a party, an opportunity arose, and I actually ended up, hooking up with another woman there. Now, once again, it's not something I'm proud of, but I guess I'm trying to share with you the mindset that I was in. I was in the darkest place I've ever been in my life. It was just, I was in this really, really horrible place emotionally. I just felt like the world was caving. I mean, even there was one point where I remember driving home, and I got home and I started crying, and I could not stop for an hour, and I don't even know why. It was just pure exhaustion. And then I think a few months later, I ended up falling sick for about 5 days. And I was just literally in bed for about 3 or 4 days at the time, because I was just absolutely wasted on all levels. And so I was in this really dark place mentally and emotionally and physically. And then this opportunity came, and it was almost just like a little bit of kind of a respite from the pain that I was experiencing at the time. And once again, no excuses. I know that it was the wrong thing to do. I shouldn't have done it. And, if I had my time again, I wouldn't do it. And I can hand on heart tell you that part of me is gone, because for me, integrity is at the very top of the tree in terms of my values. But at the time, I think I was just in such a bad place in so many ways that it ended up just taking me down a path that, I shouldn't have done. But one of the things I'm a real big believer in is making sure that you learn from your mistakes, and taking the lessons that you learn from it and applying that to, current circumstances. And I think if I look back, I don't think I was a very good communicator at the time. I don't think I was able to communicate my needs properly. I know I wasn't meeting her needs, because my way of dealing with some of the pain was to shut down and to get myself out of the environment. And I always sort of had this really bad habit of, if I was to get away from that environment, hopefully that person will chase me and give me the permission on some level to speak my truth to them, which is not a very good game to play at all. But it was something that, was my experience at the time. I was a lot younger. I was 23, 24 years of age, and was not in a very good headspace at all. And so I share this with you because I do see lots of experiences where, women are on the receiving end of infidelity. And I am saying women on the receiving end mainly because I work primarily with women. So I see it all the time. And my heart goes out to them. And the one thing I will say is that a lot of individuals who are going through that, the husbands or the partners are often in a pretty dark space themselves. And one of the things I've learned, the more I've worked with individuals, the more I've learned about psychology. And when we're in a huge amount of pain, when we're dealing with our ego and not coming from our heart, it's incredible what the brain actually does. It's incredible how it makes you justify things that you know are wrong, how it makes you do things that you know are wrong, but you still do them anyway because you feel justified on so many levels. Or you just end up in such a vulnerable position that just that little moment of pleasure ends up being such a draw card, even though you know that the impact of it in the long run it's horrible. And I think it's really important to make sure that you take the time to recognize that when people make silly decisions on the assumption that they're not really bad people, like yes, you do find your narcissists and your sociopaths and so forth, we put them to the side. I think a lot of the time when it comes to infidelity, people think individuals are very calculated about it and, you know, really wanting to hurt you and so forth. But often it's not like that. Often people know that they're doing something wrong, but they're in such a dark space, they don't have clarity of mind. And this is why I really believe that whenever we're going through this sort of journey and we're trying to heal marriages and we're trying to heal ourselves, part of the healing comes with forgiveness. And part of the healing also comes when we can actually recognize that when people do things that go against how they normally are or the kind of person that they are, they're often in a hallucination. They're hallucinating because they've strayed from love. They've gotten into fear, and when they've gotten into fear, everything goes out the window. Everything goes out the window. And all our sense of logic and sense of operating with integrity go out the window as well. So I guess, you know, once again, the purpose of this video is purely just to hear my story, and maybe you can relate to some of it. Maybe it can give you a bit of an indication of what goes through often a man's mind, because, you know, a lot of the time if he feels on any level controlled, if he feels insignificant and there's this intense heaviness, then, you know, men will often go to environments in which they can have a little bit of respite from that. Am I justifying those behaviors? Absolutely not. I think it's really important that, you know, we create an environment and relationships that foster honesty, authenticity, vulnerability. It's super, super important to have that. But at the same time, I think if we're going to evolve as human beings, if we're going to evolve as a collective species, I think we need to really take the time to recognize that behind some of the negative behaviors, there is a sense of pain and hurt and a sense of being wounded that results in people doing the things that they've done. And I'm sure that if we all look at our lives, we've all done things that we regret, that we wish we hadn't have done. Unfortunately, though, with relationships, infidelity creates a level of pain that is so, so intense. Now, I know I've got to a place now where me and my wife have the most extraordinary marriage. We have a level of foundations that is so different to what I've had in the past. We have a level of openness and an ability to communicate in ways that I've never experienced before. But most importantly as well, what that taught me was I will never ever go down that path ever again. And that is my 1,000,000% promise. I know that because I know myself so much more, and I know the signs when I'm in a, you know, difficult place, and I know I can get out of it. I have better tools, and I've learned so much through my own journey of healing that I know how to help other people to heal as well. And, you know, I'm really blessed to be living the life that I am, and blessed to be serving the beautiful souls who are part of the Authentic Relationship System training program, and, you know, the transformation that so many of them are making amidst the most intense pain. It's really, really amazing. And you know, if you in any way kind of resonate with my material and it's something that you potentially want to be a part of, then, you know, I'd encourage you to book in for a call with me below. Just in the description section, just click on that link where it says book a call with me. You can just choose a time that works for you, and I'll be there to answer that call. I'll call you, should I say, and we can just see if this is the right fit for you. If not, it's totally cool. You know, I'll give you a couple of tips and you're able to move forward. If you are, then we can work through the details and just get you on a journey of real transformation and real healing. I'm telling you now, this is real. You know, this transformation process is a real thing. But I know when we're in a vulnerable state, it can be really, really difficult. So thanks so much for watching. Like I say, if you would like some help, I'm here to serve you. If you want to get more videos like this, or you want to hear about other topics, then just let me know in the comment section below. Just let me know your thoughts on this video. Like I say, it's a pretty open and honest account of my experiences. But as I said, I really want to be open and vulnerable with you all, and to teach you a few things as well about male psychology as well, so that you know, when people go off and do these things, whilst we're not excusing them, and whilst we're in no way blaming you in any way, it just helps you to get a bit of an idea and understanding of actually what's going on inside, and hopefully that can help you to open your heart as best as you can and really come to a place of forgiveness. And when I say forgiveness, that doesn't necessarily mean that you just carry on with the marriage, but it can often mean that, you know, you're able to heal from within. Because when we hold on to the resistances and we hold on to the negative energy, the only person that impacts is you. And I don't want that to happen for you. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked it, click on the like below. If you want to get more videos, once again, just hit the subscribe button below, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it.